Hey guys, Colton here from the EV Kingdom, and I am finally starting the voiceover for What If Ruby Was a Speedster Part 1. Yeah, I really hope I'm not losing my ability to speak. Anyways, I've just been thinking over this idea, a lot lately before getting to this, and I had to re-go over the conversation I had with the person, and I was talking about this idea with in the comment and of that poll, and I have done that. I limited Ruby, and yet, well, you guys will see in the later parts of the series. But for right now, all I'm gonna say is a speedster is way more versatile than people give credit for. Anyways, hey, so if you've seen part 0, you already know I was starting to work on this, but I had one big issue, and that's how fast should I make Ruby? And after a long time thinking about this and a lot of thought, I'm just gonna keep her speed the same, or at least a little bit more. If Ruby's full top speed was about Mach 38 something, well, 38 point something, I'm gonna at least round it up to Mach 40, just to show that she did get a little bit faster due to the new powers. Also, sorry if you hear something in the background, I'm at a different place. And that goes off from time to time, so hopefully it's not annoying. Anyways, I'm just gonna stick with that for her speed at the moment, because if I didn't, I would be having more insanity. I don't want Ruby to be too slow, but I also don't want Ruby to be too fast either. There's a lot of reasons why I need the latter. But yeah, I'm sticking with that for right now, and she'll slowly start increasing her speed over time. Anyways, I decided to start it right around the beginning of RWBY Volume 1, but 2 months in advance. So Ruby's at her old school learning, and they have a biology class because I need an excuse for the chemicals, and if any of you have seen Flash, you probably know what I'm gonna do to make Ruby a speedster. So, and also it makes a lot of sense. Ruby does goof off in class a lot, so I could easily see her getting distracted with a lot of the chemicals, and lightning strikes. Ruby's thrown into the chemicals along with lightning, and I'm gonna say she's unconscious for about a month. I know she has aura at this point in her semblance, so maybe she wakes up sooner. But this is how she's gonna be a speedster. And also, I'm just gonna say this now, she's not gonna have her semblance or her aura. So any damage she takes will be great, because her aura is not gonna stop it. But yeah, she's unconscious for a month or so. Oh, she wakes up. Tai and Yang are happy to see her. Ruby feels a little bit more energized than normal, well, asking Tai to go for a run or a jog or whatever. Tai being more nervous and just having his daughter out of the hospital, well, because she was in a coma. Doesn't want her to, but then again, exercise will be good for her, so Yang has to be there for Ruby, and so to make sure she doesn't pass out or something like that. Ruby goes for a run, and Yang tries keeping up or telling her to slow her pace down, realizing Ruby's no longer behind her. And Ruby realizes is late that she's already at the other end of town. Ruby panics, then starts trying to run around, realizing she's moving way faster than she was before. Even when she was using her semblance for a short burst, she's moving about that speed at top. She eventually finds Yang back where they basically started their run from. Tai and Yang have a talk with her, they figure out what happened, and for the rest of that month, Ruby is getting accustomed to her new speed. And Yang is training with her. Now, this actually improves Yang a lot. Yang is not getting physically stronger, and Ruby, despite being a lot faster, isn't physically stronger either. But Yang's reaction time is increasing as all this happens. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry, had to get a drink. But yeah, Yang's reaction time and basically battle speed, it is increasing the longer she trains with Ruby. And Ruby's learning how fast she can go and learning how to slow her pace. So she's not going in full throttle all the time. And they train for the rest of the month. Ruby improving her control over her speed, and Yang having a lot better her time keeping up with her sister, especially at slower paces. Well, at her slower paces. Also, Ruby realizes that she can't really fire a gun and run at the same time. Because to her, the bullets basically are moving slower than her. So, Ruby doesn't really use Crescent Rose the same, but she still uses it for a good attack. And with her speed, she's able to add more force behind it. And meaning she can almost cut through anything. And also because her speed works differently than how it did in canon, Ruby learns how to use hand-to-hand a lot more and is a lot better at it now. Anyways, Volume 1 happens, all that goes the same. And Roman tries robbing the dust shop. Ruby's there. She throws one of his henchmen out the window. And here's the thing. Ruby is not as fast. Well, Ruby is around her same speed. Just to keep her limited. A little bit faster, but not too fast. Ruby is able to keep those speeds up for a long period of time. Also, I should have mentioned this before, but Ruby has to have a lot of energy to keep running, so she eats a lot. Basically, imagine Goku at a buffet. And you get half of that from Ruby in this. Okay, with that out of the way, and Ruby is still faster than them, so she easily blitzed through all of his guys. Roman does try getting away, but Ruby's still fast enough to ask the shopkeeper if he'll be okay, and then chase Roman up the building. She does not know how to run across water or run up buildings yet. There are stairways. She is just running up those. And she captures Roman. And nonchalantly, she just captures Roman. Roman can't do anything to get out of that. So yeah, Linda would come, arrest Roman, and scold Ruby, and Ozpin would invite her to go to Beacon early. The entire beginning of it, however, happens the same. Well, the entire beginning of getting into Beacon happens the same. Ruby meets Weiss, Blake, John. He and John have their conversation, realize they're lost, and Ruby just nonchalantly tells John, "Okay, I'm gonna carry you." Before John even asks why, Ruby just picks him up and starts running around the entire campus looking for where they're supposed to be. In a record time. Even. So there's a little bit more room. So you can even have John join Yang and Ruby. Weiss would still be there. There's scold Ruby. They have the meeting and their interactions. John would stop by asking Ruby how she's that fast. Keep in mind, he doesn't even understand what aura is. And Ruby just says, it's a long story. Or maybe if we're on the same team, I'll tell you. The rest still happens the same. The test happens, and Ruby doesn't have her semblance to burst through the air or temporarily fly, but she still has her scythe and she can still land. And she starts running around, not at full speed, but at a decent speed to be able to run around the same speed she was in canon. Still bumping into Weiss, they become partners. Weiss insists that she knows where they're going. The Grimm and Weiss was about to fight still happen. Weiss still tries fighting those Grimm, but Ruby, being a lot faster, actually takes care of them and with ease before Weiss even has a chance to start fighting. And the fire could also possibly happen at this point. Either way, Weiss is impressed and also annoyed. And Ruby, not wanting to follow Weiss's direction anymore, picks her up like she did John, Weiss being more against it, and Ruby starts running through the entire forest, eventually finding Yang and Blake. I think Weiss is just purely shocked and speechless. They get the relic. There's no Nevermore, or luckily, and the Scorpion still comes, and Ruby, being a lot faster, and her scythe is being propelled. Well, the momentum from her running and speed, it adds to the power behind her scythe, able to cut through the Scorpion's legs, and they have an easier time taking it out. They get paired up, Team Ruby's formed. Weiss is genuinely impressed with Ruby's skill. Now having some of it. Keep in mind, Ruby doesn't have any of her abilities yet. So yeah. Everything after that would still happen. Weiss's argument with Ruby, John doing his John stuff. We basically cut back into Team Ruby. In this case, Yang, Weiss, and Ruby looking for Blake. Weiss insisting on calling the police, however, because everything else, as I said, still happens the same. And yeah, they still find Penny. And Penny tells them where they went. Now, if you remember, I did mention that Roman is arrested. Neo would still obviously manage to get Roman out of jail. It'll just be a lot faster and sooner. And along with the fact that there was no attack, so Roman isn't in high yeah. Roman isn't in high security because there was no attack and he was mostly arrested for petty robbery. Yeah. And Neo is able to get him out. But Cinder isn't working with him anymore. We don't know how long Cinder and Roman have been working with each other for. Possibly just started that year. But because Roman didn't do a good job, she's not gonna agree with him. So she's in charge of the White Fang operation to get dust from the docks. Roman and Neo, obviously annoyed that they were betrayed, and aren't getting paid for this, and Roman wanting vengeance against RWBY, they go to the docks too, but they're mostly in hiding. Blake and Sun still will do their thing. They start fighting. Cinder still gets annoyed. She gets annoyed and starts fighting. And Blake and Sun are on the back foot. RWBY and Penny arrive. RWBY dashes in. And before Cinder could even fire an attack that would get on what part of RWBY's cloak they could get. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but RWBY has a different outfit. Something that can sustain her speed, similar to what Flash wears. I like the idea of her wearing a red and black version of what Flash had in the DC RWBY crossover movie, Part 1. That was a cool outfit. So, something like that. That is what RWBY is wearing at this point. Well, in this what if. Anyways, yeah, RWBY dashes in and she starts fighting Cinder. Now, Cinder only has half of the Fall Maiden's power. But she's also more versatile than RWBY is. But RWBY is also faster than Cinder. And she can slowly increase the speed. So, this is a close match between them. RWBY combining slashes with her scythe and some hand-to-hand, and Cinder rapidly changing what weapon she's using, and RWBY being able to dodge a lot of her attacks. This is pretty close, but I'm gonna say Cinder is on the back foot, mostly due to not being able to keep up with RWBY. And Blake, Sun, and Penny are still there, so RWBY, after a while, they end up joining in to give RWBY a hand, making Cinder in an even worse spot than she is. Putting Cinder in a worse spot than she already is in. And yeah. And she has to make a distraction to run. Probably leading to the helicopter, Bullhead flying, Penny stopping it. And while they're all mesmerized by what Penny is doing, Cinder gets her butt out of there. Now, they're pretty exhausted besides Penny. RWBY hasn't really done a lot, but she is still exhausted through all the running she's done. And while distracted, Neo, with her semblance, gets behind them and stabs RWBY. Now, she's on the ground. The rest of them are now aware of Cinder. Are now aware of Neo, and Roman would be there showing off of saying, "That's what you get for that's what you get for crossing me, Little Red." Yeah. That they would be exhausted, but Penny starts fighting them a little bit. And Sun and Blake join in. And Neo, being the more skilled, is capable of keeping up with all three of them. Roman joining in to provide support with Neo until Ruby eventually gets up and starts and blindsides Neo, knocking her out, and then just knocking Roman out as well. They're confused on why it took Ruby this long to get up, and Ruby didn't know she could regenerate, or at least heal up a little bit, or heal faster. That wound she had is basically gone. And I'm gonna end it here with Blake learning that this isn't Ruby's semblance. This is just Ruby now. Now, Weiss also learns it because no more secrets between teammates. Yang also scolds her little sister for getting injured like that, and also is impressed that she healed up from that pretty quickly. And they go back to Beacon. And I'm ending this part here because there's a lot more in the other parts I want to go over, and I don't want this video being too long. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. Or like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know how you feel about the what if so far. Or did I make Ruby too fast? This is a real concern of mine. And I literally looked up I literally looked up how fast Ruby characters are in the show, and I couldn't really find anything solid or consistent. So I'm just making an assumption. Hopefully Ruby isn't being too fast, and also I'm kind of trying to make it so Ruby has a top speed but can go slower, so it's not always Ruby going at that full speed. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Sorry if this video sounded a little bit weirder or not in my normal place. And also, I don't know if I'm catching something or not. Hopefully I'm not. And anyways, I will see you all in the next part. And after going over this, I don't know whether it will be a 4-part series or if I could possibly go 3 parts. It really depends on how parts 2 and 3 go. Oh, and how much detail I can get into. I'm gonna stop it now because this video is already going on as long as possible. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next part. Bye.